Let's see. Oh, all right. So I think we're live. Sure.
Oh, are we? Right on.
Oh, I just shared it on the wrong channel. I'll go back to that.
Whoops. That's not what I was looking for. Yeah, so I got my son home from school. And I told him I had work to do. So now he's going to be as loud as he possibly can.
That's how that works. All right, we're on.
We are
We'll give
on.
uh,
Right
we'll
on.
give folks a few minutes to kind of log on. And the link is in the Discord.
Right
Put the
on.
link uh, on our Twitter as well.
Now, why don't you have a camera yet so everybody can see your pretty face?
Well, because I want to share the charts, because that's what they're here for, man.
Why do they have to see my face?
Well, because they have to see someone's face, or else it's weird.
So you're saying I'm better looking than you?
Well, you're more interesting. How about that?
I'll take it. I'll take it. I was trying to prepare for this, and it's just this migraine just kicking my ass. So it's just, just gonna wing it.
Alright, so
Should be fine.
if people want to ask questions, you can comment on the chat. Yeah, you can comment. I'll keep an eye on those.
Shit.
Yeah. All right. So I was thinking my plan for today is to just kind of go over a few things and uh, obviously introduce some of the newer folks to our almighty founder, and then also just kind of go over some not necessarily trading specific techniques, more of uh, kind of how to get involved and how to kind of evolve in trading. So I guess just to get started, I wanted to just ask you how you got into trading. Like, what led you to take trading more seriously than just like the random trade or just having a passive account?
Right. Well, I think I should probably start out with the fact that, which a lot of people don't know, even people that know me pretty well in Discord aren't aware of the fact that, I didn't come from money. I grew up broke. I shared a bedroom with two of my brothers my entire life, and but I always had a drive and wanted to be successful, and you know, so I started a couple businesses, going into my 20s, and built those up, and eventually got to a point of where I had a little bit of extra income, and I started putting that into investing into stocks, just buying and holding, typical stuff like that. And then really it was around the time of COVID and the shutdown. I had, I was married at the time, and I had the ability to just stay home and stay home with the kids. Well, she had to go to work, but my kids weren't like little, so I just basically needed to be here, make sure they didn't burn the freaking house down. And so I realized pretty quickly that I was kind of bored. We hung out, we did stuff, but then I had a lot of free time. So then I had dabbled into options trading, and I started doing that more full time. And me being a bit of I guess, adrenaline junkie, like I always prefer the day trading, fast scalping, getting in and out. Really high risk, but really high reward. And that's basically just kind of how my trading has evolved. I got into doing the leverage trading, with the crypto, and it's the same thing. It started out something I was just kind of dabbling with, played around with for a couple days, and then I started applying my options scalping strategies to it, and I was just killing it and just having a bunch of fun doing it. And that's really, I guess I'd say that's one of the most important things about me as a trader is that, like, yes, there's money involved, and yes, it can be stressful, and you can lose money and stuff like that. But you got to be having fun. If you're not enjoying yourself, and what the hell's the point of even doing it? So that's kind of one of the things I stand by, because once I start stressing about it and I start worrying too much, to be honest, I start losing more. Like if I'm having a bad day, I'll go from losing a little to losing a lot because I'm freaking out about it. So
There's definitely a lot of that kind of a emotion component, but also like I think a lot of people started trading around COVID. Like I remember pre-COVID, my trading was, you know, buying the odd crypto on Coinbase and, buying weed stocks on Robinhood. And I don't remember, was AMC before COVID or after COVID?
that
It had
was
to be after, right?
before. It was right before
Right
COVID.
before. So
Like
obviously
literally a
did
few
that whole
months before.
nonsense.
Yeah. 'Cause, yeah, I was a
But
little more
like,
involved in
yeah,
that, like the year prior. Like I was investing a lot, and it was mainly buying and selling the stocks, and I was doing a little bit of options. But it wasn't until the shutdown happened that I started doing options full time, because I was in on
and
AMC, I was in on
I think.
GME
Yeah.
before that. I was back. I was on Wall Street bets. Back in the day before it turned lame, because it got really lame right after the whole GameStop thing happened. Like it sucked, and I left there. And that's kind of how I ended up.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think there's a lot of people had that kind of shift of just kind of investing and buying and holding stuff to actually trading. Because
Yeah,
before COVID, I would buy something and it wouldn't be out of norm for me to not look at it for 3 or 4 or 5 days. Like it wouldn't be abnormal for me to, like my first crypto purchase was Doge on Robinhood, and the only reason that I even looked at it is because I got an alert that it was up 100% on the day, and
right.
like it wasn't the kind of like I wasn't buying that stuff to trade it. I just had an extra, $132 in my Robinhood account, and back then I thought that all my margin had to be in something, or else I wasn't doing it right, and I just threw it into the most random thing. But like now with the market the way it is, do you think people that came into the market during that COVID phase are just fizzling out, or do you think those folks are going to have the staying power?
I think a lot of the people that were, I guess, that came in during the COVID, I think a lot of those people are gonna, they're gonna go away for at least the time being. Most of them don't understand a bear market, can't figure out how to survive through it. But I think I think we'll see a lot of them go away, but I think we'll see a lot of them come back once everything once we get back into a bull market. Once people start seeing the easier opportunity, because during COVID, we're in the middle of a bull market. Everything's just going up. Like you could you pretty much like throw an option on anything, and you're going to end up coming out green on it. I mean, obviously it's a lot more complicated than that, but it was pretty damn easy. You could there
Yeah.
was a lot of money to be made. It was really easy to make it, and you know, and now that it's people don't know, they don't know like is it going up, is it going down, like which way is it going, how should we play this, and they don't understand the opportunity that there still is, even in a bear market.
And I think that kind of leads into, we can skip over the options, like how you transitioned, but how did you get into Discord, and why do you spend the time to be involved with a Discord group, and what do you see as the main benefits to it?
Well, that's so basically how, like I mentioned earlier, I used to be on Wall Street Bets. I was on there, and I with all the goofy meme posts and like all that stuff, and it was kind of a community. It was a huge community, and you know, a lot of joking around and having fun. Because the thing about trading is you're by yourself, so it's nice to have a community of people to talk to and joke around with. And to be honest, Wall Street Bets was nowhere near as big as it was until the GameStop thing happened. Once that happened, it just blew up overnight, and that's when it kind of started to suck. And then I went, I made a transition to Twitter, and I was on there a lot, and I was doing space calls with, a few people that would host daily space calls. And I'd get on there and speak. I'd get on there and listen. During all the AMC stuff, and then made friends from doing that, like JP. That's how him and I met. And then then I got onto a Discord because JP was on the Discord sharing his trades, and I I got on there just kind of following him and just having people to talk to because he was a friend of mine, and he started his own Discord. And then I was a member in there, and I started one day. I finally started sharing my trades, and then after a couple of weeks, he's like, Jesus Christ, he's like, you're just crushing it. He's like, I'll be honest, I've been too afraid to trade anything, and you're just killing it. And so he offered me a partnership, and and that was basically like we were just sharing our trades. We're just sharing our entries and our exits, and our, basically our market reads and things like that. And but when I decided to start this Discord, it was more about not just sharing trades, not just sharing entries and exits. It was more about trying to help people learn to find and to see the things that I see when I trade. But not only that, but I wanted to provide every style of trading you could think of, from your scalpers to day traders to short swings, long swings. We got Dread that does theta, the Theta Gang, the writing option contracts, which is probably the most profitable form of trading there is, in my opinion. It's the writing contracts. But then we started getting into crypto, and we have a really nice solid team of analysts that all have specific things that they do better than anyone else that I know. Like we got Gage. I don't even fully understand how he does his trading, but all I know is it works.
And I'm gonna have him on. Him and Koala are gonna come on and kind of do the same thing. But like,
Nice.
I think we should just kind of mention to those of you that don't know, the Discord is the PGGG Discord. We'll put the link in the description for the recording, but you can find it on all of our social stuff. It's free to join. There's a premium section, but there's tons of alerts and educational content for free on the Discord. And I think I think one of the things that
right now.
yeah, one of the things that you said that kind of caught my eye, like that I really relate to, is just kind of having people to talk to, and just it's such a fine line, right? Because you have to, in order to be successful, you have to have conviction, but you can't be stubborn, right? Like,
Yep.
and sometimes when you're having those conversations with other traders, you can get kind of fudded out of a position. But also, if you can't have an intelligent conversation with another trader that completely disagrees with you and stick to your position, then you probably shouldn't be trading it.
Yeah.
But how has that impacted you? Like, especially, when you were starting with JP, like, was there stuff you learned from him? Were there situations in which
Dude,
it didn't
I'll be
really work
honest.
to have other traders?
It was hilarious because there were so many times, and we have a lot of members in our group now that were on Merc trades with us back then, and there were so many times where me and JP would be on the opposite sides of a trade, and not even know it. Because when I traded, I learned that when I was trading and when I was alerting trades, I didn't pay attention to the chat, and I didn't pay attention to what JP was alerting. Because if I did, then sometimes that would affect the conviction I had in the trade that I was in, and it would change my mind, and I would not, I would go the direction that they were talking about, and sometimes it would end up screwing me, and it would piss me off. So literally, like, people know, like, I would sit in my channel, and that's all I did. I didn't talk in the chat. I didn't look at any other alerts. And when I was bored, I would sit there and talk to myself because no one else was allowed to, actually post in my channel. So, and that's one of the things I learned is that, always stick to your convictions, stick to your trades. And oddly enough, there's many a times where we were on the opposite ends of trade, but since I'm a scalper and I'm trying to get in and out in like 5 to 15 minutes, taking 20 to 50 to 100% gains, sometimes 1,000% gains, in that time frame, that I can still get that, and then it turns, I cut, and then it goes the other direction, and then it ends up hitting the price target that JP was shooting for. So I learned that you can be on the opposites of the trade and still come out green on both sides. I mean, hell, I've done that with FOMC minutes. I enter into college inputs, cut one for like sometimes 400% because of how chaotic price action is around that time, and then let it run the other direction and cut that for 400 or 500% also. So that's probably one of the more important things, is always sticking to your convictions. I mean, there's nothing wrong with questioning a trade before you enter it. That's something that I did for a long time. Like, I would look at a trade if it was a trade that I wasn't 100% convinced with, I would try to see if I could find a trade, if it would be more successful going the other way. If that makes sense. Before saying like, oh, I want to go short on something, I'd try to look at it like, well, let's see if I could find, confirmation on going long before I decide to go short. And I know that, like, one of the things about trading is people sometimes they get so the FOMO kicks in and they want to get into the trade, but taking an extra minute, to kind of look and see, like, to make sure that it's a good trade. You're not going to miss out on much price action during that time, and it's going to end up saving you money in the long run, because you're not going to enter a trade without enough conviction, without getting your confirmation, and it being a good trade. If that all makes sense.
I've struggled more with having traders agree with me than I have with having traders disagree with me. Like, my best trades are when everybody says you're fucking crazy. Like,
Right.
like when people just flat out look at me, like, say like, you are so far off, I think maybe you should like do something else. Like, those are the trades that end up working out. And a lot of times when I enter a trade and I have a conversation and everybody's like, oh yeah, that's perfect, I'm like, wait a second, there aren't enough people disagreeing here. I need to look at this, because what ends up happening is I get like overconfident, and when it starts going against me, I'm like, no, everybody agreed, of course it's gonna work.
Right.
So it kind of works
Yeah.
both ways, right? Like, you don't want to get into that kind of flock mentality and just going with everyone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to be able to defend your position.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the nice thing
interesting,
about
but
having
also,
community, is having those different opinions and having that conversation. And as long as people are open to seeing the other side, it's where it can be really beneficial for being a group. To be like, okay, well, these people, these 5 people say it's going to go this way, but this one person says that it's going to go the other way. Okay, well, let's try and see why they feel it's going to go the other way, because that may change. 3 of those 5 may change their mind. Well, now everybody feels like it's going to go the other way, and then and it could end up being that one person was right because they saw something that everyone else did.
right. And at the end of the day, as much as we share trades and share the stop losses and the take profits, and ultimately like to bring people along on profitable trades, everybody has to be responsible for their own trading, because it doesn't work any other way.
Yep.
It
Exactly.
just doesn't.
And that's one of the biggest
talk
things
about-
is not if any trade is stressing you out, well, then you're probably over trading. Never trade with more than you're willing to lose.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's odd when when I take a trade and I take it and not, and if I'm on Bing, like if at any time the entirety of my Bing account gets wiped out, it wouldn't change anything in
Right.
practice, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's not just even the trade. That's like the account, and certainly, I think Bing has made an effort to comfort its users and let us know that they do have the reserves and they're not going to get in trouble. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the reality is that it every exchange has, you're always going to have a moment where you forget to set your stop loss or you set it just completely wrong.
Or
And
you
that
just
stuff
don't.
happens, especially when you're on the go. So if you're trading too big and one of those moments happens, like, every now and then I wake up and there's like 100% win that I just didn't even know I had an order for. But it also just happens the other way. And if you're trading with too much and you have some bad luck, then your drawdown is too big and you never come back.
Yeah.
So you really just have to manage that from the get go.
One of my issues is that sometimes I just like I, I think maybe it's that I'm not trading with enough because I just forget and I don't care. Like, which I
I
think I
I
just did
listen
today, actually.
I listened to a podcast a couple years ago, and that was the recommendation. The guy was like, just quadruple your size.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised how much less stupid you'll act when there's real money on the line.
yeah, that's
Um,
true. It's like if you trade for too much, you're putting so much stress on yourself. You end up cutting too early, or you hold for too long. Not cutting your losses. But if you're not trading with enough, it's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. And I
right.
I do that all the time.
I go up 30%, and I'm like, I don't really even care. There's no need to. It doesn't even make sense to take profit. I might as well just let it ride.
Yeah,
Um,
I've
so
had 200%
shift.
trades today, and then I completely forgot that I was in a trade and got stopped at 50%. Because I finally realized I was still in
Ah,
it. I was like, oh, I'm still in that trade. I need to get
So
out.
we did get one question that says, any advice for the people that got liquidated?
On just in general.
I think just in general, yeah. I think when you have
Oh,
moves like this morning, it doesn't matter how many times you say like just be patient, just be patient,
yeah.
just be patient.
I
Like
was in.
when
I was
price
on the
starts
right
moving
side
like
of that
that,
this morning. Luckily, I was on the right side. But I mean, to be honest, if you're getting liquidated, and if it's on a trade that you're not watching, then you should go down to a lower leverage because then you're far less likely to get liquidated. But that's also the point of having stop losses. Is if is to protect you from those crazy moves like we saw happen this morning, and I think there were some pretty big dumps that happened overnight last night. If I'm not mistaken. When was it? Well, it wasn't a crazy
yeah. I
dump,
mean,
but it was a decent dump
if
yesterday.
you're entering a position and your plan doesn't include getting liquidated, then there has to be a stop loss, and that stop loss shouldn't just be an automatic 30 or 50% because that's what you're set at. It should be based
Hmm.
on an actual level. Like a lot of
Yeah.
times I've been alerting Doge 100x, and a lot of times those stop losses are 25 to 30%, but like it's 25 to 30% because that 30% gets me past a specific price point. It's not 30% because that's how much I'm willing to lose. When I go to enter the trade, I
Right.
say, okay, if I enter here and I'm willing to lose 30% per trade, is that 30% going to actually invalidate the trade, or am I just winging it? And
Right.
so at the end of the day, if you're getting liquidated, I mean, Andax is right. You have to reduce your leverage. Like that is the easiest. Yes, you're gonna make less money, but it's a no brainer. Like you
Yeah.
have to be able to give trades enough room, but also, if you're getting your stop losses hit frequently, then you have to just track your trades, right? if you're getting your stop loss hit and then the trade goes the way you want it to frequently, you reduce your leverage and give it more room. If you're
Yeah.
getting your stop loss hit because you're getting the direction wrong frequently, then you need to that's a whole different issue, and you need to just reassess why you're entering trades or just counter trade yourself. Like I did that once when I was getting started. I remember it was like 5 in the morning. It was pitch black. My whole family was asleep, and I remember like sitting on the couch and longing something and getting stopped out. And then I was gonna long again, but I was really upset, and I was, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna short it. And I shorted it, and I went about. I was like mowing the lawn, and I got an alert that it had closed out for 1,000%. And like, as crazy as that sounds, like sometimes you have to change the way you're doing things. If you're getting the direction wrong frequently enough to where your account is getting blown up, then you're it's going to keep happening unless you change something.
Yeah.
So if you're getting stopped, but then the trade ultimately goes your way, reduce your leverage. If you're getting stopped because you're getting it wrong, then you just have to change the way you're approaching it altogether, in
Yeah,
my
and
opinion.
I think you touched on a good point too. Is that your stop losses shouldn't be just a percentage because it's like, oh, that's how much I'm willing to lose. There should be a level. You need to be finding you need to find those support and resistance lines and those key levels on where you can be like, okay, if it drops to this, then my trade is pretty much invalidated. So that's where I want my stop loss to be. But there's also I think it was Spud that was telling us about this a while back, that he used to have a certain percentage that would be his stop loss, and instead of doing that, what he decided was he was going to take that amount, whatever that amount was. Say if it was a 20% stop loss, whatever that percentage that would have been that he would have lost for 20%, that would be what he was going to invest, and he was just going to let it run. He was either going to liquidate or it was going to go the way that he wanted it to, which I thought was kind of interesting because he was willing to lose that amount. So why not just run that amount without a stop loss? And from what I remember, it's worked out well for him. So it's another thing to keep in mind. But I think more importantly, it's learning support and resistance lines. Knowing, managing your risk. Setting proper, having proper leverage, and things like that, so that you're not, because if you can go lower leverage, and because I'm always testing different things, and I'm doing different styles of trading, things like that. One of the things I've been doing lately is I've been taking actual, instead of trading USDT on BingX, against whatever token, I'm actually using, like, I actually have Ethereum that I'm trading with, on Ethereum versus USDT on Ethereum. And those are ones that I've been doing just low leverage, and I'm doing like 5x, 10x, things like that. And I just let them run and see where they go. And I've actually, over the course of a couple weeks, I've doubled my Ethereum on what I'm sitting on. Because the way I feel like we're getting to a bottom. We may not have hit a bottom yet, but we're getting to that point soon, I hope. But maybe not till at the latest spring. But we're still at low enough levels that I feel that starting to invest now isn't going to be a bad thing if you can hold it through, into next year when we get back into a bull market, because I feel like we will by next spring.
I think that's a
So
good point, because if you have 20, 30, 100 Bitcoin, you know the strategy that you're going to use is going to be very different to where if you have $500 that you want to invest in Bitcoin, then you can leverage that Bitcoin, and you can do a lot of really cool things. One of which is you can do a 1x short. So if you bought $500 worth of Bitcoin today and you did a 1x short, and the price of Bitcoin went to 12,000, your US dollar value in that $500 the Bitcoin would stay the same. And
right,
so
exactly.
it's a really cool way to say, okay, well, I think the price is going to keep going down. I'm just gonna like protect myself and be in a 1x short, and then when I think it's gonna go up, I'm gonna do a 3x long, and it's a very safe way to accrue. And we talked about it in the Discord of doing a my thought was a $1,000 to one full Bitcoin challenge. Um,
Right.
but I felt like it would be a lot easier to do once the market turned around. um, but yeah, talk about like the benefits of having Bing X versus trading options, because it's definitely a very different beast.
Yeah, it's completely different, and to be honest, it's ridiculously easier. Like, it's when I started doing it, the day one, it was something that one of our other analysts had told me about. It was Assman, and he's like, man, this is right up your alley. You need to try this out, like this leverage crypto. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'll check it out. And I did a bunch of research into different, exchanges and stuff, like trying to find the one that I wanted to trade on. And I ended up finding BingX. And one of the things I liked about them is that like they were rated really high in customer service, and that's kind of something was important to me. And their fees were, kind of industry standard. So I just moved over $1,000. Like we'll just try it out, have some fun. And I was full porting, scalping. I think it was pretty sure it was Bitcoin, but like just full port scalping it. And I remember it was dumping, and I was just killing it. And after like 2 hours, I was up like 700% or something like that, and didn't even realize it. And I'm still full porting every trade. And then, and then I enter into another trade, and I was up like 30%. I remember, and I was doing all this from my phone. Like that's where I started from. That's still where I do 95% of my trading on BingX is on my phone, instead of these two fucking giant monitors I have that I'm using right now that I've used for trading options. And I remember I entered into a trade. It was up like 30%. I went back and I checked the Discord chat just to kind of like tell people like, wow, this is ridiculous. You guys need to try this out. And within under 60 seconds, it bounced hard as hell, and I got liquidated. So that I was up to like almost 8 grand. It was gone in under 60 seconds. But then I moved over some more money, and I'm like, the next day, and I'm like, now I'm going to trade this more seriously. I'm going to trade it more in the same way that I do options, which is still very like high risk, high reward, just because of the style of trading that I do. But we found since then, like we've seen so many analysts that trade different styles that are similar to trading options, but they're different risk levels. You have swing trades, and you know the stuff that Gage does with the stacking like positions, and like I don't know, I'm still learning that myself from him. But one of the biggest things about it is that as of right now, since it's not regulated, is that you don't have, because you're not trading stocks, you're not trading options, like you're trading currency, same as you would forex. And so you don't have the pattern day trading restrictions, so you can trade as much as you want. And it's instant settlement, because again, these aren't stocks. There's no stock certificates, and there's no option contracts. It's literally you're trading one currency against another. So when you close that position, it's an instant settlement. So so you don't have to, there's no limit to how much you can trade in a day. There's no waiting for funds to settle. And to be honest, like it actually helped my option trading like immensely, because when I was more restricted to how many trades I was taking in a day, because I was only trading during market hours, and I would trade, enter like maybe 10 trades in a day. I've had days where I've entered into 80 trades on BingX in a day easily. My average for a while was like 60, which is crazy for most people, which I get, but the fact that I had more consistency in the number of trades that I could take, I was learning a lot more, a lot faster, becoming a lot more familiar with how, whatever it was that I was trading, like how it moved, like how it reacted. Because that's one of the important things of trading, is learning all about how whatever it is you're trading is how it moves. Because it's basically, you got to look at the market as being a living, breathing, you know, it's alive, you know, and really it is, because there's people on the other ends of these trades that are causing the price action to go up and down. So, you know, once you see it as that, as this living, breathing thing, and you know that it's going to react to certain things, you start to see those things coming, and then that gives you, then you're like, okay, this is where I want to get into this trade, because I feel like this is going to happen. Like, I don't even know what chart are you, what do you chart you got up right now? The S&P 500.
Yeah, I've got Bitcoin and the E-mini.
Did it just run?
Futures.
What time frame's that?
That is I put up the 4 hours so people could see the bigger
Okay.
picture. 'Cause we talked
Okay, I
on
was
the
just curious.
Discord this morning, at least on the crypto chat, and I actually, it was on Twitter too. I said, if you don't need a chart today. Like, I think the actual Twitter post this morning was, you don't need a fancy chart. Just wait 40 minutes, whichever way it goes, play the retrace, and that's it. Like, that's your strategy
Yeah.
for today.
Yeah.
And
That's what I was gonna
it
say. Because like I
works.
saw this big run up, this morning. Yeah, yeah. It was around. Yeah, it was around opening this morning, where SP 500 had a big run up. Where most people are like, oh, it's running. Like, oh, I got to get in on that, and people are going to jump in up towards the top, and then they're going to end up losing their ass. Anytime I see anything run or anything dump, my first thing is like, ooh, I'm about to get in, going the other direction on this. And where most people, the habit is just like, oh, it's running. I want to jump in. I want to be a part of this as it runs. No, you're going to lose your ass. When you see that run, it's like, oh, let's find a good entry on going the other way, because it's going to come back. If not,
Yeah,
if
the
not
play
fully, it's
was
going to come
not
back at
to
least a
try to.
little.
Yeah.
Now, with the SP 500, it pretty much pulled all the way back from where it was before the run. But but normally
Right.
you'll see
Yeah,
at least a 50% retrace on a big run like that.
I mean, that was. Yeah, I don't know what. Um, I don't know exactly where. So let's see.
Like, I'm looking at
Yeah, I
Ethereum right
mean,
now, and
we.
it's the same thing. Like, you have where it had that big run up around 7:30, around that time. But really, it's had its first little run up about 5 o'clock, something like that. Yeah, around 5. And you see, I need to go to a higher time frame. I'm just looking on my phone. But from that, we pretty much have retraced about 50% from that run
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty
to
close,
where we
but
at right now.
on Bitcoin, there's some other factors. Just there's this 17.6 level, which, the odd thing is like, I think what sometimes people don't realize about my trading is that, like, I don't necessarily try to. I wasn't gonna sit here and say, okay, well, we're gonna go this way or that way for CPI, but like,
Right.
this line that you see on the chart at 17,622, like, that line's been there for over a month, and we
Right.
just kind of stop right at it, right? So, like,
Right.
for Bitcoin, we broke that resistance, and there's going to be some support there. And I think because of the fact that Bitcoin has had just such a big hit between the Luna and FTX thing, that it's just not going to drop as much as equities, which are just, in my mind, overbought, whereas Bitcoin's a little bit oversold.
Right.
But you can see, like, we kind of, like, we reclaimed that channel. We hit almost the top of that channel. I think, you know, I don't see a whole lot happening the rest of the day with FOMC tomorrow. But at the end of the day, like, you don't quite have the 50% retrace on Bitcoin, whereas on
Right.
E-mini you have 100% retrace.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty interesting dynamic right now.
See how out of the loop I am right now with all this other stuff we've had going on. Was CPI was today? Nope. Had no clue.
You just
No idea.
thought the market pumped. You thought you just you were under the
Who knows?
impression, let's see, that
Something happened.
that E-mini pumped almost 6% out of the blue. I like it. I like it.
Crazier things have happened.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think when you look at something like Bitcoin, if this level is lost, I think you can safely target that 17.2. If we start trading much higher, I think we can safely target 18.6. But right now is not the time to be entering positions. The time to enter the position was at 8:32 at the top of that wick, and now we just kind of have to wait for FOMC, I think. But
Right.
no, I think it's good that people get kind of some insight and just get a feel.
Some of
for
us are
how
trying to win a
important-
competition too.
Oh yeah, no, not me. I swear
Yeah.
to God,
Me neither.
Assman posted something about it being a lot hard. How it was Friday afternoon, and he posted, "Yeah, it's going to be a tough long competition because I think the market's going to tank." And I was like,
Yeah.
"A what
That's the point.
competition?"
Yeah.
No
Like,
wonder my
what?
percentage is so jacked up. I thought I literally was about to accuse you of like messing with my numbers. So
I
was
haven't
like,
been
"There's
paying
no
attention
way
to
this
it.
makes any sense."
It's
Uh,
anyone that's actually listening right now, and if you are in our trading competition, we do regular trading competitions, and I'm such a degenerate and such an asshole that since I knew we were going into more bearish, trading, I was like, we're gonna do a long competition where it's only gonna calculate gains that you make from long positions, not short positions. So. And it's interesting.
yeah.
It's fun. I mean, it's meant to be fun. Like anyone that's losing their ass on it, well, if you're losing your ass on it, then you're putting too much into it. We make it a minimum $100 because if you can't, throw $100 into it to just play around and have some fun, and it actually, which it's actually very like beneficial learning to do this stuff too. Is that if you can be in a bear market and you can find these quick trades that are against the trend where everything's going downward, then that's going to make you just a more successful of a trader. So, but yeah, I wasn't paying attention to it, and I'm currently negative like 75%. So I may have to do a little bit of trading on it here soon, the
I
next couple days.
I was negative 128%, and then I was negative 2%. But this was all before I realized that it was just a long competition. Because I always
Right.
they always give me shit. Because I'm like, how could I possibly be more than 100%? Like this is none of this makes any sense. I'm just gonna trade the way I normally trade. And
Right.
then now I realize that I should have just known what I was doing. But
Now
like
we
you said, it's
do.
just for fun, and like you just kind of start doing this stuff, and it's more about just being part of the community. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of gratification to helping other people be able to do it successfully,
Yeah, definitely.
and
And
the
you
competitions
know
are
me,
just
like
part of
I
that.
don't try to win the competitions. I never try to win them. It's not about me. I mean, how many competitions have I won? One of them. And the reason why is because it was the first long competition because I'm like scalping shorts and I'm like killing it. I'm making bank, but I'm purposely liquidating long positions, so I was just going down, like down on the leaderboard. And people are like freaking out. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. I guess I'm just not very good at trading." I was down to what was it, 2,600% in the red. And who was it? It was Wes. Wes is like, "There's no way you're climbing out of that hole." I'm like, "Oh, really? Got 36 hours left. We'll see." And it was in like what was it, 18 hours that I was in like fourth fourth or fifth place, something like that. And people are like freaking out, and Minnie Musk is like, "Hey, you said you don't ever win your own competitions. What are you doing?" Because he was in the first place spot at the time, and I was like, "Fine, I'm gonna win this competition, but when I do, I'm gonna airdrop all the winnings, which was like $3,000, something like that. I think it was like $3,000, 2,000, something like that. Pretty sure it was three. But I was like, I'm gonna airdrop it all. So then everyone was like, "Yeah, win it." except for Mini Musk.
I
He's
can't
still like,
believe
no, don't. And I stomped his
I
ass.
can't
ended
believe
up
you
going
even
from
used the word airdrop.
yeah, I know. After that, that's all you ever
Um,
heard was airdrop, airdrop. But yeah, so I went from negative 2,600% to up 800%, and winning it, and within 36 hours, and it was fun.
right,
But
and it
other
is
than that,
fun.
yeah, I don't try to win.
I think the big thing is for people to understand that like that's not how you make long term
Yeah,
gains.
no,
This is just
exactly.
something we do for fun
For fun. Yeah.
uh, and not necessarily something that would happen on like a normal trading day.
Yeah.
Um,
The
all
reason
right,
why I
well,
started the competitions, the sole purpose of starting the competitions was to give members that added pressure of, because we're all, it's the Discord is educational based. We're here to try to teach people how to trade, and giving them that added pressure of knowing that other people are watching what they're doing. It's going to give them, help build their confidence over time, because the better that they can do knowing that people are watching and knowing that they're competing is going to help them to better control their emotions and trade better on a normal day-to-day basis. Now, another one of the other competitions that we do is the VST competition, which is, for people that don't know what VST is paper trading, and it's very beneficial because, it gives you that added pressure, and it gives you some ways to see how you're doing versus other people. But it's all paper trading, so you don't actually lose anything, but you're learning in the process. And if you get really good at it, you actually can win actual money, versus, trading VST and not winning anything. So,
if if people find themselves trading VST successfully, but then they're unable to trade real money successfully, lower your leverage and lower your position size, and
yeah, because
it'll probably
it's all
fix
in your head.
itself.
It's all the emotion.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna wrap it up. I wanted to just take a chance to kind of go over on a macro level, like you can just see that we had this. And sorry, my computer gets really slow when I start to stream. You can see we had this high time frame channel and trend. We went above it. I really like this. I really like this setup. We just crushed so many bears, and you can go into even our Discord chat and see how demoralized everyone was, and everybody lost all their fucking money. And this is what happens before you have a big drop, right?
Yep.
Don't lose your conviction now. At the same time, if this 4100 level, this high time frame trend line gets reclaimed again, don't be so stubborn that you can't flip long. But in my mind, I think we just set up a really good situation where we flushed out a bunch of shorts, and now Powell's going to come in, hammer down, and we're going to make our way
Hmm.
back down towards
Yeah.
these lower, like these
He's going to
mid
come in
37,
hawkish, and it's going to
3600s.
drop.
Um,
That's the thing. People
so
see that
that's
when
kind
you
of
have a
that's my
channel
take.
or a trend line or something, and yeah, it broke above it. But really, like, for me, I don't have conviction until I actually see it hold above it, and it didn't. You saw it ran up and it got wicked
Right.
the fuck down.
Yeah, I mean, you have one 4 hour close above, but that's really only because of the timing of it.
Hmm.
And that's why a lot of people say, like a lot of traders, like the standard rule is, two 30-minute closes, and you certainly
Hmm.
got that. But when you're trading these events, I think the more important thing is this was not a significant move. And as soon as the market opened, uh, you've got market open at 9:30.
Hmm.
It just gets smashed down. So this
Yep.
is not acceptance above that trend. If
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Where's the
doesn't
volume
happen
at
during
with
market
those?
hours, yeah. And so
Yeah.
and so to me, like if the worst thing that you can do is have a view, lose your ass on a day like today, and then flip long right before the real move down.
Right.
But that's my take. Like, you don't have to buy into that. I will flip directions in a fucking heartbeat. So don't think that just because I say that. I just think that the way today played out shows that my read last week was correct. You've got a lot more sellers willing to be aggressive in terms of actually entering positions, not people getting wrecked. And to me, this is a really good setup for a significant down move the rest of the week. And in terms of Bitcoin, like I think Bitcoin is something that I would long. I'm not really that interested in shorting it because the risk reward just isn't really there. I'd rather short equities or alts, but just just it's the same thing. Just watch that level. I think we make another move up after hours today, and then you see like if buyers keep moving this up, like this is still bullish to me. It hasn't even hit the 50% retrace. It's in a very different spot. And I don't think sellers are as willing to really get in there and push the price down. So it's just not something that I really am looking to get in short unless there's a very good trigger. So that's my take. If you have any questions, hit us up in the comments, join the Discord, tag us, and we'll try to do these a couple times a month and get some new guests in here. So if you have anybody that you want to see, put it in the comments and we'll take a look. Yeah, thanks for taking the time to do
like
it,
and
to
subscribe.
Yeah, like
Always.
and subscribe and join us on Bing. Free weekly bonuses. You get $1,350 in free volume bonuses. They're based on volume. And you have to be a premium member. If you get 20% return average, which you could easily do off just the alerted bonus trades, that's over 12 grand a year in free bonus money. And the subscription would cost you what, like $350 for the year?
Yeah. If you can't make enough
that's
off of 1 week of the bonus cash, if you can't make enough to pay your premium for at least the month, then you just have really shitty luck because you could know nothing about trading and just guess right on one of them and make enough to pay the premium.
That's actually, I wanted to touch on that because like with the bonuses, it really can be just luck. With that with a high leverage trade, you can take 10 trades and lose every single one of them. Just because you guess the direction right ultimately doesn't mean you won't get stopped out or liquidated before it goes. Right. So with the lower leverage bonus trades, it's so much more forgiving. So yeah, give us a look, and I think that you can use the bonus cash for the S&P 500 or the oil as well. I believe. I don't know if the volume for those trades counts for the total volume.
I don't think so. I don't think it counts for the volume.
The bonus.
Same as the indices, and then the commodities. They don't count towards the competitions either.
Right, but you can definitely, if you really want to, if you're looking to maximize your bonus trades, I think alts have a lot more volatility, and so with the leverage that you're allowed on an alt, I think if you get it right, you stand to make more most of the time. But you can certainly trade the S&P, or even like, it's not just the S&P. There's so many indices that you can trade. It's Forex, all of it, and you can use your bonuses for it. So, yeah, check us out and. Let us know if you have any questions. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.